May 2026. Flying high over the Baltic Sea, the high-tech GPS system of a European passenger airliner suddenly goes completely dead. The pilot desperately attempts to contact air traffic control, but the cockpit instruments emit nothing but a strange, piercing static noise. In the passenger cabin, people have absolutely no idea that their aircraft is currently flying blind through the sky, completely stripped of its digital compass. This was not a mechanical failure, nor was it a random coincidence. This is an invisible war being fought in the very heart of Europe. A war where entire nations can be plunged into total darkness without a single bullet being fired. According to recent intelligence leaks, over 123,000 GPS jamming and spoofing incidents have been recorded over the Baltic Sea region in just the past few months. Behind this silent chaos lies Russia's most dangerous exclave, Kaliningrad. Here, deep inside highly fortified zones, advanced electronic warfare networks like Pol 21 and Murmansk-BN have completely hijacked NATO's communication corridors. The Pentagon officially refers to this massive disruption as the Baltic Boomerang. Today, we uncover Russia's invisible electronic fortress and reveal exactly how a single silent signal is blinding NATO's most advanced fighter jets mid-air. Welcome back to Trench Waters. To fully understand the terrifying depth of this operation, we must first look at the unique geography where this quiet destruction is taking place. The Baltic Sea, positioned right in the center of Northern Europe, is often mockingly called a NATO lake because almost every country surrounding its waters is a member of the Western Alliance. Yet right in the middle of this allied territory sits a small, highly anomalous piece of land that has become a constant nightmare for NATO planners. This is Kaliningrad. It is a Russian exclave, meaning it has no land connection to mainland Russia whatsoever, completely cut off and surrounded by Poland, Lithuania, and the freezing waters of the Baltic. For years, the world assumed Kaliningrad was just a standard forward military base packed with conventional tanks and nuclear-capable missiles. But the year 2026 has completely shattered that assumption. Instead of relying solely on heavy armor, Russia has quietly transformed this isolated strip of land into the world's most sophisticated electronic warfare stronghold, weaponizing invisible frequencies to dominate European airspace and maritime routes. When people hear the term electronic warfare, they often picture standard cyber attacks or basic website hacking. However, what is happening in the Baltic is far more physical and dangerous. Russia currently possesses the most powerful long-range jamming complex in existence, known as the Murmansk-BN. This is not a mobile jammer mounted on the back of a tactical truck. It is a massive network of colossal antenna towers capable of disrupting high-frequency radio communications across thousands of kilometers. When these towers are activated at full operational capacity, they effectively paralyze the shortwave communication networks of the entire Baltic region. Working alongside this giant network is the Pol 21 system, which serves a much more localized and deadly purpose. Pole 21 targets satellite navigation, flooding the skies with signals that distort or completely rewrite GPS and European Galileo coordinates. When a civilian airliner or a military drone enters this zone, its onboard computers are instantly deceived into believing they are in an entirely different location, a lethal tactical deception known in military circles as GPS spoofing. Imagine a critical scenario where a multi-million-dollar NATO F-16 fighter jet is conducting a routine patrol over the Baltic Sea. The pilot relies entirely on the precise coordinates flashing across the cockpit displays. Suddenly, invisible waves radiating from Kaliningrad intercept the aircraft's hardware. To the pilot, everything on the screen looks perfectly normal, but the jet's navigation system is secretly altered, steering the aircraft directly toward heavily defended Russian airspace. This is no longer a theoretical simulation. The ultimate fear among NATO intelligence circles right now is that Russia, without firing a single surface-to-air missile, can manipulate the internal systems of Western jets to force a fatal crash or trick them into violating hostile borders, giving Moscow a legal excuse to shoot them down. This is precisely why Pentagon strategists call it the Baltic Boomerang, the very satellite-guided technology the West perfected to track its enemies is now returning to strike them down from within. Why has Russia chosen this exact moment to unleash this electronic chaos? The answer lies on the broader geopolitical chessboard, where the risk of direct military confrontation between Russia and NATO has reached its highest level in decades. Moscow knows that in a conventional open conflict, defeating NATO's overwhelming air superiority and satellite-guided precision weaponry with ordinary artillery is nearly impossible. Western weapons, from HIMARS rocket systems to Storm Shadow cruise missiles, depend entirely on uninterrupted GPS data to find their targets. If Russia can blind the electronic brains of these weapons, millions of dollars worth of advanced military hardware instantly become useless chunks of flying metal. By executing this massive jamming campaign over the Baltic Sea, Russia is running a highly calculated live stress test. They are measuring exactly how long NATO's communication infrastructure can survive under total electronic suppression. The real-world results have been deeply alarming for Western leadership, with European air traffic controllers forced to instruct commercial pilots to dust off old-school paper maps and rely on manual ground radar because digital displays can no longer be trusted. The shock waves of this invisible conflict are crashing into the ocean depths as well. The Baltic Sea is one of the busiest commercial shipping lanes on the planet, serving as the economic bloodline for Northern Europe. Every cargo vessel and oil tanker navigating these waters is legally required to operate an automatic identification system, or AIS, which continuously broadcasts the vessel's location, speed, and heading to prevent catastrophic maritime collisions. However, Kaliningrad's electronic warfare arrays have turned the AIS network into a digital playground. Commercial navigation screens suddenly display phantom ghost ships that do not exist in reality, while actual massive container ships completely vanish from tracking monitors. Global shipping companies are entering a state of severe panic. If maritime shipping lanes are blinded, vital supply chains will freeze overnight, triggering an economic shockwave mirroring a total blockade of the Suez Canal or the Strait of Hormuz. Without deploying a single warship or firing a single torpedo, Russia has demonstrated the capability to paralyze European trade through invisible signals alone. NATO is well aware of this escalating threat, but finding a viable solution is proving a logistical nightmare. Launching a kinetic strike on the electronic towers inside Kaliningrad is out of the question, as a physical attack on Russian sovereign territory would instantly spark World War III. Furthermore, Russia has heavily ringed the exclave with state-of-the-art S-400 and S-500 air defense networks alongside nuclear-capable Iskander ballistic missiles, making it an incredibly difficult target to penetrate. This leaves Western forces with only one realistic option: electronic countermeasures, attempting to jam the Russian jammers. Yet this is where NATO faces a critical structural disadvantage. For decades, Western defense spending heavily prioritized offensive mobility and stealth, while Russia heavily invested in defensive access denial technologies. When it comes to pure, raw electronic warfare capability, international military experts openly concede that Moscow holds a massive tactical advantage, possessing far more powerful transmitters and a highly specialized infrastructure designed specifically for this type of electronic maneuver. The true strategic weight of this signal war becomes clear when we connect the Baltic front directly to the ongoing battlefield in Ukraine. While the Baltic Sea and eastern Ukraine appear to be two completely separate conflicts on a physical map, they are deeply intertwined in the digital realm. The high-altitude Western reconnaissance drones and NATO spy planes that constantly patrol near the Black Sea send their data feeds back to major command centers located in Poland and Germany. The electronic waves pulsing from Kaliningrad are designed to intercept, distort, and sever these exact transatlantic data links. When these signals are blocked, frontline forces lose access to real-time satellite intelligence, leaving them completely blind to sudden enemy troop movements on the ground. Russia has effectively erected a massive, continent-spanning electronic umbrella that binds the hands of its adversaries thousands of miles away, proving that modern victories are achieved not by destroying weapons, but by cutting off the digital nerves that control them. As the months of 2026 roll on, this hybrid warfare experiment is spilling out of military zones and directly into civilian society. The severe electronic interference is no longer confined to open waters. It is actively bleeding into border towns throughout Finland, Sweden, and Estonia. Ordinary citizens are experiencing sudden mobile network blackouts, digital banking systems are freezing without warning, and local emergency services are finding their radio frequencies completely jammed. This widespread disruption is a deliberate signal from Moscow, proving that electronic warfare is no longer just a battlefield tool, but a highly effective psychological weapon meant to breed fear and instability within Western populations. European citizens are beginning to question why their government's trillion-dollar defense budgets are utterly incapable of shielding them from an invisible, silent signal. This internal division is Russia's ultimate objective, destroying the adversary's confidence from the inside out. The definitive question remains: can the Baltic Boomerang be stopped? Does NATO possess a classified counter-technology capable of shattering Russia's electronic dome? For now, the answer remains locked in the shadows. As long as those massive towers stand tall on the coast of Kaliningrad, this silent game of electronic cat and mouse will continue to escalate. Aircraft will fly blind, ships will lose their way in bared waters, and digital maps will continue to flash errors. Control of the modern world no longer belongs solely to those who command the open oceans. It belongs entirely to those who master the darkness beneath the radar. This has been another deep dive investigation by Trench Waters. If you want the unfiltered truth behind the world's hidden military operations, black ops logistics, and shadow warfare grids, subscribe to Trench Waters right now, hit the bell icon, and never miss our next investigation. Until next time, stay vigilant